This episode of Empower Her Radio with Dr. Corey Winn is proudly sponsored by the Cliff House at Pikes Peak in Manitou Springs, Colorado. The Cliff House is more than a luxury escape nestled at the base of America's mountain. This November, it becomes the heart of generosity as they host the inaugural fundraising event for the Carl Edward Foundation. The Carl Edward Foundation exists to bring dignity, mobility, and freedom back to patients and families facing spinal cord injuries and progressive neurological diseases. These diagnoses can change everything, but they don't have to define everything. Okay, I don't love this. Hold on. Welcome to Empower Her Radio, the space for powerhouse women ready to step into their next level of abundance, purpose, and personal freedom. I'm Dr. Corey Winn, a high-performance coach, doctor of physical therapy, philanthropist, and business consultant. I help ambitious women align with their highest calling, expand their wealth and impact, and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're a high-achieving woman who's built success yet finds yourself craving more alignment, more purpose, more ease, you're in the right place. Here, we bridge the gap between ambition and fulfillment. Through transformative conversations and proven strategies, you'll gain the courage to step into the fullest expression of you. Build a powerhouse business that aligns with your expertise and divine gifts, and lead your life, both personally and professionally, with unshakable confidence, worthiness, and compassion. This is about expansion, legacy, and owning your power unapologetically. You already have everything inside of you to create a life of unlimited possibility. It's time to unlock it. Welcome to your next level. Let's dive in. I am so excited about today's guest. She is the definition of creative evolution and creative reinvention. Sara Abernethy began her career as an opera singer and performer, then moved into arts development and fundraising, pivoted again to B2B tech sales, and ultimately found her soul stage in hospitality as the visionary behind Y Hill Kitchen and Brewing and Glasshouse Kitchen, North Carolina, two of Raleigh's most vibrant, community-driven culinary spaces. And growing up in Raleigh, this is a huge part of my heart. She's also the host of a new limited series podcast, Her Seat at the Table, where she highlights the voices and journeys of women redefining leadership in hospitality and beyond. Sara, thank you for joining us today.
I am so glad to be here. It's so great to meet another fellow Eagle.
Yes.
Fly,
yes.
Eagles, fly.
Right?
As previously established right before we got on this recording, Corey and I did attend the same high school.
Yes. And we are not ready for the 2 decades reunion. So we're just gonna leave that on the table over here.
It really caught me by surprise, and I just had a physical reaction of just like time out. I'm not ready. I actually keep in touch with a good number of people from Enloe in life, and as you might imagine, have run into so many of them coming through Y Hill.
Yes.
Which is sometimes fun, but it's always like a record scratch.
It's so fun to look back and go, oh my gosh, we walked the same halls and we were this, and now look at us. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
No, it does not. But looking at all of the pictures posted in the Facebook reunion group did send me to my grave. So.
Well, that's why we're all here on the show and doing the big things, because, life didn't end when we were in high school. We've beautifully created these lives that we're going to talk about today. But I originally reached out to you because I saw your post about Her Seat at the Table, and it really inspired me to get in your space and get in your energy. And since I'm not
get in here, girl, get up in here.
I'm not in North Carolina anymore, so I couldn't physically be in your space, but it was just like, yes, she is talking about incredible things that we all need to talk about. But how did you end up there? We talked a little bit about your journey in the intro, but what inspired these pivots? Because they're beautiful pivots.
It is sort of like professional gymnastics,
Yes.
and it seems when you sort of list it out on paper, it seems to be not linear, but there are a few through lines through all of the various career pivots. But all of them really did feel like big, scary leaps full of imposter syndrome. So I've had so much practice doing the heavy weightlifting that comes along with imposter syndrome. I'm sure you talk about that here quite a bit.
All high achieving women, I think 97 to 98%.
We all have it. We all have it.
Imposter syndrome.
I just listened to Dax Shepard interview Charlie Sheen yesterday, and they have imposter syndrome. So I guess like never ends. You just keep leveling up. But I did start out with a big dream to be a professional singer, and I still am a professional singer. It's actually like a mental journey I've had to go on many, many times, defining and redefining what success is in my own terms. I am a professional singer. I have a bachelor's degree in vocal performance. And so you can say, and like I have over 20 years of experience in choral singing. I still sing with the North Carolina Master Chorale to this day.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so great. So great. Singing is my number one love, passion, calling, purpose. But after, those first few years in the first half of my 20s, really pursuing that, somebody I met recently called it a Rumspringa, and I'm like, that's exactly what it was. It was a Rumspringa, because I went to Germany for a little while to work as an au pair for an opera singer, and then I was in New York for a little while pursuing, the theater professionally, and sort of the first realization of like, this is not like what I had always imagined success to look like on this landscape is not it. Is not it. And I did ultimately make a judgment call in early 20s. Like, I don't know that the lifestyle that comes along with being a professional actor, singer, performer is in line with what I really want. I really do want to feel rooted. I don't want to be living out of a suitcase. I don't want to be constantly subletting my room in New York City to some stranger. And that was really fascinating. So there was a time in New York where I, through a mutual friend, found out about an internship in the fundraising department at Carnegie Hall. Oh, have you heard of it?
That's no small fundraising.
I know, it's like super casual. But it was a great experience, and a lot of the skill set that I cultivated as a performer, it turns out it does translate directly into a number of other things. So I do always say, like, for young people who are considering pursuing the performing arts, that you should do it. You should do it. You should go for it. Even if it doesn't end up being your career, it builds so many unteachable skills. Like, it just hones so many really wonderful things. So the gift of gab.
You never know if you're really going to love it or if it's going to be your ultimate dream unless you try.
And there is a lot of, like, as a teenager, when you're into, theater is your thing, like it was for me at Enloe, and you get this rush from people clapping for you, like, oh my God, like it sort of takes on its own form as, what's special about me? Like, I'm special. This makes me special to be an actor or a singer and have this talent. And it's really difficult to rumble with that throughout a career as a performer. I think nobody ever really figures that out, how to like separate your self-worth from, or if they have figured it out, please call me, but how to separate your self-worth.
Like the internal validation versus the external validation.
Yes. So I had this experience in fundraising. It was really exciting. I foresaw a world where I could potentially have a salary and health insurance and maybe start, building a little bit more of that stable adult life that it turns out I actually wanted to pursue. And that led me to San Diego, which was meant to be universally, because I was like running into a brick wall at 100 miles an hour, met my husband immediately, right away. and somebody that I ended up rooming with in San Diego, still a very good friend to this day, ended up marrying my best friend from New York City. They're married. They have 2 kids. So like, had I never done that, who knows, maybe they wouldn't have met. Um, so a few roles in fundraising for the arts naturally translated into sales as a next step, but I felt like a huge imposter when I started in B2B sales, because I'm like, I'm just a theater nerd. Like, I'm not a tech person. But as it turns out, to be successful at sales, you don't actually need to be a developer. You need to be able to ask the right questions and communicate with people and have a little bit of that hustle and grit energy that I had from auditioning in New York City and putting myself out there and just really going for it.
Everything in sales is providing a service, and you value the service that you're giving, and you solve a problem that someone needs solving. That's all that it is.
That's all it is. And I think it's a very scary musculature, especially for a lot of solopreneurs. They're like, oh man, I love what I do, but I hate selling it. Which is, it really shouldn't be that way. If you're not going to toot your own horn, who's going to toot your own horn?
Right, exactly.
You know?
Because nobody's going to be as excited as you are about whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Am I answering your question, Corey? I feel like this is the longest answer ever.
I love it. So we got to B2B tech sales, and then talk about
B2B tech sales,
Y Hill and Glasshouse Kitchen and all those. Because that's what drew me to you, to all the things that you're doing in my hometown, which I think is incredible.
The restauranting does seem sort of like a hard left turn. But in fact, and I say this all the time, restaurant is theater. It is so similar. You are creating and offering a fully immersive sensory experience for someone. And it has everything to do with, how do they feel when they walk in the door? What are they seeing when they're sitting at the table? How does the chair feel? How does the napkin feel? Of course, you know, there's music and lighting and smell and humans. Lots of humans. But the parallel between the two is so similar. And my husband does also have a background in theater as well. He was the technical director for the award-winning La Jolla Playhouse for about 20 years.
Fun.
Where he is a carpenter, skilled carpenter, and just like overall magic maker. It just magic maker. If you could see the sets he designed and built and figured out how to deconstruct so it would fit into the truck just perfectly to go on to the next thing. I mean, his skill set is really great. And plus he is very handy, which has saved us thousands and thousands of dollars in maintenance fees over the years. So that's super helpful. But as some of you listening may know, or maybe you don't, the current location of Y Hill Kitchen and Brewing, which is in the sort of the corner of the Boylan Heights neighborhood, right next to downtown Raleigh, used to be a brewery restaurant called the Boylan Bridge Brew Pub. And it was known as this sort of iconic Raleigh spot because it's located on this hill next to a bridge that overlooks the Raleigh skyline. It's like one of the best views of the city of Raleigh from anywhere. And so everybody loved the patio and loved coming out. And it just so happened, I mean, it was like a big magic moment of meeting the right person at the right time. And even though on paper we weren't qualified or we didn't have restaurateur experience, it was about making the connection and sales. And we had to sell ourselves. We had to pitch ourselves and tell a story and really convince the previous proprietor why he should choose us, these like underdogs. But one of whom was a Raleigh native and one who was going to put a lot of local love into that spot.
Right. Well, and I think what I want to honor you for and have our listeners really pay attention to is so often as women, we pigeonhole ourselves into this box, this lane. I went to school for this. This is what I have to do. And we wake up, and I'll never forget, Glennon Doyle says in Untamed, wasn't it all supposed to be more beautiful than this? And we have this like light bulb moment of, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And forget sometimes that all of these skill sets that you've had through all these careers go in so many different boxes. And if our listeners can hear today that no, maybe you weren't on paper a restaurateur, but the fact that you've both been in theater and you have a passion for Raleigh. I mean, I know from knowing you and following this little bit of your journey how much of your heart is in that. And I mean,
That's so kind
that's like
to
95% of what
say.
you need. I mean, you can learn skill, you can hire the right people for your team, but like if you don't love it, it's not going to grow.
Well, I will say we swung big too, because something that a restaurant does take is money. I
Yes.
mean, any new business takes money, but a restaurant upfit takes capital, and this is an entirely bootstrapped effort. And I will
Mm-hmm.
also tell your listeners, not like the full story, but the way we approached the investment of the business and the upfit into Y Hill, I would never advise anyone else to do it ever. Do not ever do what we did. However, I think the takeaway is we were so clear on the vision for the space. We were so clear on the business opportunity that, yeah, it was a big swing and it was a big risk. I don't know that I would do the same thing today in this phase of life that I'm in now.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really felt like even if it failed, even if we lost everything, that nothing truly important could actually be taken from me. I
Yeah.
really felt that in my gut. It was just sort of like this, not even of me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's
And
what
that's
propelled
that's
taking a leap.
truly leaning in to trusting yourself and also recognizing, I'm reading a happy, I think it's called A Happy Pocket Full of Money right now, but it was essentially saying that,
Sounds like a happy
money's
pocket.
not real,
It's full of
which
money.
is totally like sidebar from this, but point being like if all of us took that big leap that like set our soul on fire and got incredibly clear on what would actually happen to us if it failed, so many more people would take that leap.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
investing differently, using their finances differently, changing jobs, like all the things. So I hope that our listeners hear from you like, what would actually happen if this failed? You wouldn't die. You wouldn't be
We
homeless.
wouldn't die.
like,
We might lose our house, but we have family in the area. So I knew we wouldn't be homeless.
Mhm.
We might lose the house. We might lose everything. We would be probably embarrassed. Our egos would be bruised for a time.
Right.
Because the truth is, like, the statistics are quite chilling.
Yeah.
Most new restaurants do fail within the first year, and especially within the first 5 years. Um, but again, like this opportunity and this specific moment was so, so clear to both of us. And I would say the other thing Chris and I do have in common as a partnership is we do believe that money is not real.
Yes. Yeah. It's all energy and we
It
all
is
flow it
all
one way or the
energy.
other.
And not everybody feels that way. Like, I think that's like a scary way for most people to live. And I'm certain that there is some privilege in my background that helps propel that sort of thinking a little bit more easily. So I just want to recognize that. But yeah, it's energy. You can
Mhm.
always create more. To me, there is like an unending font. You can always create more.
Yes. I love that. So with all these endeavors, what really propelled you to start Her Seat at the Table?
I'm so glad you asked this question, um, because it came out of a place of truly utter despair, Corey. Um, I'm sure you also touch on this theme a lot, but being in a leadership role, being an entrepreneur is so lonely. And nothing could have prepared me for how lonely I felt for forever.
Yes.
And at the time, like when you're in it, you kind of don't realize it. And in my case, I was doing it with Chris hand in hand. And I also believe that, like, to a degree, that a brick and mortar business, what it takes, I think your partner is kind of in it, whether they're like actually in it with
Come
you or
on, let's
not.
go. You're
Like
coming with
they
me.
are, like if they don't have a role in the business, they're like signed up for the ride. But I was very lonely, and I, made the classic mistake of letting boundaries get too loosey goosey with some of our team members at first, because you're just in it all the time. And truthfully, like until I became a restaurateur, I had honestly never even been a manager before. I had never managed anybody. So it was a rude awakening to go from, you know, like peer level to owner. I should say throughout my career in music, you can imagine I've had many, many restaurant jobs. So I do want to call out, this was not my first restaurant experience. I had worked in every front of house role you can imagine since I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Lots of comfort level on that front, but it still doesn't, just nothing really can prepare you. It's like parenting, like nothing can like really prepare you for this
Exactly.
experience. So I was lonely and super sad. To be perfectly honest with you, was really taking a toll on my marriage, because you can't be everything to each other all the time. I think you can be
Yes.
everything to each other sometimes or for some phases, but that it was hard. And so I love driving. Like I get my best creative moments when I'm driving aimlessly. I think Sarah Blakely does this too. Just like taking the long way home and
Uh-huh.
like having music on and just like having my hands busy but my mind free really is a good place for me. I also
Yes.
love listening to podcasts, and I kept looking for a podcast that had sort of like the emotional continuity and content of like Brene Brown with business, but then specifically restaurants. And I found lots of restaurant podcast content, but it just wasn't from anybody that I could relate to or see myself reflected back in. And it was like a lot of like number stuff, which is important, but I was really looking for a different kind of intersection of all the things. And sometimes you just got to build the thing that you want to see. And
Yes.
so I thought this would be a great thing for me to try on, particularly in the second half of my pregnancy, where I really can't be in the restaurants anymore. I'm phasing myself out of day-to-day operations because I'm about to have this baby. Let me just give this a try and see what happens. Again, it's like, let me just go for it. I mean, what's the
Yes.
worst that could happen? Nobody listens. Like, okay, you
Yeah.
know. And ended up having 5 incredibly delicious and multi-layered conversations with these women in hospitality. The first one was a panel discussion about how your role as an owner and a proprietor evolves, but specifically what that means as a woman, specifically what that experience is like as a woman, whether you're a parent or not.
Right.
It was so juicy. And I just, I really think that this is certainly the content I need in my life. I'm
Yes.
trusting that other women out there, I mean, even if they're in hospitality or not, can find community and connection and see versions of themselves reflected back onto them. That's why I created Her Seat at the Table.
Well, and I think that there's something to be said about verbalizing that loneliness because so often as women, we just figure it out. We think that we're alone in our feelings and like, oh, well, Sarah's got it together. So I don't know.
Girl, I
I'll-
don't. Girl, I do not. I do not.
And I think it's so important to have that honest, authentic
Yeah.
conversation because how many women came out of the woodwork? So many. I mean, I saw it. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome. We need this." And that's why surrounding ourselves with other high-achieving women who are making quantum leaps, who are pivoting, who are going for it and going, it's not really going to fail. Failure's not real either. Um,
I also
to see
believe
what
that that
happens.
is really true. There's no failure, there's just learning.
Yes, yes.
I really
And we
believe
don't
that.
talk enough about that. You know, so many of us see really incredibly successful women and compare ourselves to them and then wonder,
Totally.
oh, what's going on? The imposter syndrome comes in. If we talk more about our journeys, more women are like, oh, well, yeah, I could take those steps to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it might look, again, like from the outside looking in, it might look like I have it together, but getting to this place over the last 7 years in the restaurants was nothing but failure. Like the doors are open still.
Yeah.
We're very lucky and we made very strategic choices about supply and demand and
Hmm.
location. But it has felt like the only way to get here was by failing over and over and over again. It's really a humbling experience.
Well, and having a belief in yourself that it was going to work out, period. There wasn't another option. And I
Mm-hmm.
I love so much of that. How have you blended all of this now with being a mom and being an entrepreneur and a woman in your space?
Well, 1 hour at a time is the honest answer.
Yeah.
I did have the foresight. So I just gave birth to my second child in March of this year, little Charlie, such a little dumpling. And then we have a 3.5-year-old daughter, Joey. Um, I knew, especially with the second one, um, I was really going to have to work myself out of a job
Hmm.
day to day. And so I did spend the whole pregnancy preparing for that.
Hmm.
And I may not be in the building every day. Chris certainly still is, but I find that the best value that I can offer the business at this point is to not necessarily be there, but be the number one cheerleader, hype girl, brand ambassador for Y Hill and Glasshouse Kitchen around Raleigh, around the online space. And it's so important to have somebody who has that original vision connected, somebody who's like has their eyes set on that. It's really easy to lose sight of that when you're in the whirlwind of day-to-day stuff. It's
Hmm.
always been like everybody's always busy. Like it's always busy. You got a million things going on. Um, and I am really grateful for the ability to do that because I have been able to be very flexible this year in terms of how I reincorporate myself back in the store.
Hmm.
Very, very grateful. But I also have to say, like, I've laid the groundwork for the last 7 years to make that possible.
Right.
So
And I
it,
hope our listeners hear that too, is building the life that you want that aligns with what you are looking for is possible. You know, you may not be able to change it overnight, but really gaining clarity and alignment on, okay, these are the musts. These are my non-negotiables. Now, how do I create everything else around that?
and it does take time. It really does take time. I wish I could have really understood what that meant 10 years ago.
Mhm.
I really wish I could have, but I do now. I really feel like I just the big things and that cliche Rome wasn't built in a day. Like the big things take a long time.
Yeah.
You know, a fine wine takes a long time, decades to mature and um, reach its maximum complexity and drinkability.
Yeah.
So patience is key. Have you ever also seen that phrase that's like, consistency looks like nothing is happening until one day everything's different?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, and it's so true. Keep
So
putting
annoying.
the little bits and pieces, and then it's like, "Oh my gosh, look what," and also honoring the fact, like, taking a step back and looking back going, "Wow, I built this. This is how far I've come," because as you do the day to day, hour by hour, a lot of times you can lose sight of everything that you have accomplished. So being able to just sit back in the quiet, maybe while you're driving, and be like, "Dang, look what I did. Look what we did."
I
Of
didn't do it
course.
alone. I did not do it alone. There's an incredible team that operates each location now.
Yeah.
They are absolute all stars, and they're better. Honestly, Corey, like they're better at it than me anyway. They're better at doing that than me anyway. I need to live in like big picture land.
Mhm.
My zone of genius is not day to day details.
Yeah. And how amazing is it that you know about that about yourself and that you have team that fills in those blind spots? It's so incredibly important.
Well, I know that because I've learned it painfully many, many times over that that is not my skill set.
That's so funny. So
Yes.
when we think about Why Hill and Glasshouse Kitchen, like what is your most favorite thing? What's the thing that you're so excited for people to see, to come in and experience?
In the restaurants?
Mhm.
Ooh, that's a good question. I Both of them, what they have in common is being a little bit of a destination dining experience.
Mhm.
Glasshouse Kitchen is in RTP, in sort of the in between no man's land. It's not no man's land, but the in between of Raleigh and Durham, where you have what historically has just been offices.
Right.
And the Glasshouse interior is really special. It's really stunning. There is nothing else like that dining room in the triangle.
Mhm.
So just going to Glasshouse and experiencing for the first time, you know, 2 stories of glass, and just bringing the being able to experience what is going on in Raleigh, Durham nature at that point,
Mhm.
but to be in a climate controlled environment is so cool. It just feels like you are somewhere else, like
Mhm.
some in a bigger city. It really feels like this is the cosmopolitan future of this region.
Right.
So that's very special. I am always excited for the holidays at Y Hill
I was gonna say,
because
I was just looking, it looks like fall stuff is happening.
fall's happening. I love a decorative gourd.
Me
Um,
too.
love a decorative gourd, and the fall menus have been released at both locations, and there's some wonderful, scrumptious new dishes and cocktails. However, depending on when this episode goes out into the world, we are counting down to our holiday pop-up at Y Hill, which is called Sippin' Santa. And
Fun. When
it
is this? Because
is,
I'm coming back to North Carolina at the beginning of December.
girl, you gotta go. We gotta
All
get you
right.
in. It is it's an homage to Chris's Southern California upbringing, and Y Hill becomes outrageously, unreasonably decked out in like beach leisure land. Christmas at the beach,
I
Christmas
love
in the
that
tropics.
so much.
Yes, sipping Santa. And so we don't call it tiki, we call it leisure.
Mhm.
So we have there's a new list of cocktails every year. They all come in these bespoke cups that are, and it's unreasonable. It's ridiculous. So fun. So that's really
I
fun
was to
getting
say,
ready
it
for
sounds
that.
amazing, not
Yes.
unreasonable at all.
So
Something that
fun.
everyone should do that's in Raleigh during that.
So yes. And then the other thing I'm super excited about and looking forward to is White Hill Brewing is launching a THC seltzer.
Oh,
It's a really exciting thing. A conversation that we're having in food and beverage is, oh my God, people are not drinking as much. And
mhm.
while that is beneficial for many people for many reasons, it's causing those of us in the beverage industry to like, you know, have to
Rethink.
reevaluate everything.
Yeah.
And so for us and for many other breweries in North Carolina, we're launching a THC product, and they are so good. I have never really dipped my toe into that pool. No judgment for anyone who has. I
Right.
haven't, but the flavors are so good. It was a collaboration of our company chef Bobby McFarland and my husband Chris put this together. They have yuzu, blueberry, lavender, and blood orange lime, and watermelon mojito, and like every single one of them, it just tastes like real fruit. Just delicious. Delicious.
Well, and
delicious.
I'm just curious, do you guys have mocktails and non-alcoholic drinks for
Oh,
those of
yes,
us who don't drink? Because I think
definitely.
that's such a scene too that I see a lot of breweries and distilleries going toward, is having like a substantial part of their menu. You still get the vibe, you still have the pretty drink, and you don't drink, and it's there for you as well.
For sure. We always have at least two on every seasonal menu, and they're fun to create. They're fun to create. They're fun to enjoy, and we are definitely seeing more and more people going on a journey of alternating, even between having a cocktail and then having a zero proof. Um, Also very delicious. I will say though that I hear a lot about why are they so expensive if there's no alcohol, and just to educate the listener base that liquor is not the expensive part
I was
of
gonna say, but there's an
making a
art.
cocktail.
There's an art.
Yeah.
There's an understanding of flavor and texture and design. I mean, let's be
Yes.
real with money here. It's all about the value you put on something, and there's expertise and time and
Hands. I
experimenting
mean,
on all of these. So, yes,
yeah.
absolutely the value is absolutely there.
So yes to NA. I loved an NA last year when I was pregnant for most of the year. Loved that.
Well, I want to make sure that everyone knows how to follow you, how to connect with you, learn about everything that's going on in all of the various spaces, because let's be honest, Raleigh's a destination place for a lot of people. There's so many people coming to Raleigh, visiting, stopping through onto other places. So let's let Y Hill and Glasshouse Kitchen be on their stop through.
Yes, come hang out with us, especially if you're coming through between November 14th and January 1st. Come see us at Sip and Santa at Y Hill. It's such a good time. It's so
I will
good.
be there. I will. That is going to be on my calendar
So good.
now.
Yes.
So
And you can follow us on Instagram at Y Hill, which is spelled WYEHILL, and at Glasshouse Kitchen NC. And I would love to be friends with anybody on Instagram. You can follow me at Sara, my name, Abernethy with an E. I'm sure Corey will sound the alarm and
Oh,
share
yeah.
all of that.
I'll have all the things in show notes. If
So
there's anything that you think of that we didn't chat about that you want to have in there, this will go out in a few weeks. So definitely in time for all the holiday
perfect. Wonderful.
extravaganzas. And I'm just so thankful for our conversation today. Thank you
Yeah.
for being
It's so
on.
nice to meet you. Nice to meet you IRL. Well, this is IRL,
Great.
IRL enough.
It'll be IRL in December, hopefully.
Yeah. So nice to meet another Enlow Eagle. Where do
Yes.
you live now?
Colorado.
Oh man. In where Denver area?
Colorado
I don't know.
Springs.
I
But
don't
my
know anything
parents are
about
still in
Colorado.
Raleigh. So we go back to Raleigh a few times a year.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys like it there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Corey. So happy to be here.
Thank you. As we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Your next level is already within you. If you're feeling that pull for more clarity, more alignment, and more courage to step fully into who you're meant to be, this is your invitation to take the next step. Whether you're an entrepreneur ready to scale or a woman standing at the edge of something bigger, the path forward starts with trusting your desires, owning your worth, and leading with your inner knowing. This is exactly what I offer. private VIP coaching, and where I guide women inside the 10K Club and 50K Club through consulting with She Sells and Superhuman Selling to help you gain clarity, step into aligned action, and build a life and business that reflects your highest vision. If you're ready to explore what's next, let's have a conversation. Book a free call now at www.corywinn.com/free call. I can't wait to connect with you. Talk soon.